Well, this is lecture 3 of basic calculus 1. So, today we will be talking about functions of say defined from a subset of real numbers to real numbers. These functions really we will not be talking much about them, mainly we will fix some terminologies and then give some examples and make a repertory of what functions we know. So, if you remember in the last class we have done something about the absolute value. So, for any real number x you define mod x as either x or minus x depending on its sign. So, for example, mod of 1 equal to 1 and mod of minus 1 is also equal to 1. So, that really defines a function from real numbers to real numbers, which takes all positives to themselves and all negatives to their corresponding positives and of course 0 to 0. So, this is how a function will carry over. We will be defining a function soon. So, suppose a and b are subsets of real numbers. We assume they are non-empty subsets. We will not define any function from empty set to another set. So, suppose a and b are non-empty subsets of real numbers and we denote by f, small f, a function from a to b, provided it gives a rule that assigns every number in a to numbers in b. So, we write this way that it is a rule that assigns each point in a to a point in b in a unique way. So, we will certainly say what is the meaning of this unique way. We will write such a function f from a to b. So, once we write f colon a arrow b, it will mean that f is a function that is defined on a and it is getting its values in b. So, for example, your absolute value function will be a function from r to r, both a and b are there. Now, what is the meaning of this unique way? It does not mean that all the elements in a are assigned to one particular element in b. It is not that. What it says, it can happen in some of the examples, but that is not it says in general. It says that if you start with any particular number in a, then it is taken to or it is assigned to or it is associated with another element in b. But that way of assignment is unique to this particular number you have chosen from a. Okay. So, we will write this number in b as f of x. If x is an element in a, then this map is taking this x to the number somewhere in b. That number in b is written as f of x. So, that means sometimes we say x is taken to f of x or x is mapped to f of x by the function f. Though f is the function, we will sometimes also write f of x as the function. Like suppose we give f of x equal to x square, which means 1 is taken to 1 and 2 is taken to 4 and so on. So, we will write just x square is a function, which really means f is a function where f of x is equal to x square. So, we will fix some more terminology. We will say that x is the pre-image of the number f of x under f. It is coming from x. So, it is pre-image of f of x. And similarly, f of x is the image of x under f. This unique way is telling that if you start with say 2 numbers in b and look at from where it has come, it is never possible that from the same element, some element, that it has come to these two elements. This will never happen. So, we say that if f of a is not equal to f of b, then a, which is the pre-image of f of a, and b, which is the pre-image of b, they can never be equal. This will never happen. They should be different. That is what the unique means. If a is there, a goes to f of a. But the other side is possible, that if you have a and b, both of them can go to same thing. that is f of a can be equal to f of b, like in absolute value function. Absolute value of 1 is also equal to absolute value of minus 1. That is possible. But the first case is not possible. That is the meaning of this association f associates elements in a unique way. So, now this set A from where the function is defined is called the domain of f, and the set B or in total also R is called the codomain of f. See that everything of this B may not have been mapped. Like for example, we will say mod x is taking from R to R, but the negatives in R are never mapped by mod x. There is no number in R, mod of that will be negative number. But R is the domain and R is the codomain of that. So, codomain is the right hand side. If f from A to B is a function, the left side is called the domain, right side is called the codomain. But exactly what are really mapped inside B, as in case of mod, the non-negative ones, that is called the range of f. We will say that range of f is equal to set of all values f of x such that x belongs to A. So, it consists of a subset of B where everything is mapped. Outside it, you do not find one x such that f of x will be going to outside of this range, though they are members inside codomain. So, it is something like your A is here and some set B is here. It is not appropriate, but they are real lines. Let us write it this schematically. Then all these things are taking to f may be somewhere, that is the range. These are not in the range, outside that. B is the codomain and the range is only this one, which is sometimes also written as f of a, but we can say range of f. So, for this f is a function from A to B, sometimes we will say f of x is the function as we marked earlier. So, sometimes we say f x is a function, sometimes we will say y equal to f x is a function. And what is the graph? Sometimes we want to plot it. So, what we do on the set A, suppose it is something like an interval. So, A is something like this and x varies over this interval, then f takes these values to somewhere to real numbers. Say x is here some point, then it is mapped to f of x, which is somewhere here f of x. So, now we take together x and f of x, make one ordered pair, something like say x and f of x. So, this ordered pair, set of all these ordered pairs will be called the graph of f. Actually, f and graph of f are not different, but since we are telling f is a rule, so we are telling another terminology that this is called the graph of f. So, now we will be taking some examples where we will write the graph of f, how the function looks like in as the ordered pair, set of ordered pairs. So, the graph of f will be a subset of R 2, right, because x is from R, f of x is from R. So, their ordered pair belongs to R 2. So, the graph of f will be a subset of R 2. Usually, it will be a curve. We will see how it looks. So, we will consider some examples. Let us say the first simplest example, that f is given by f of x equal to 1 for every x in R. We write in a short form that y equal to n 1 is a function, taking the terminology y equal to f of x as a function. Actually, if you write it, the function will be f from R to R given by f of x equal to 1 for all x in R. This is how the function will look like, but in short form will like y equal to 1 is the function. So, now this is defined for every element in R. So, we say its domain is R and its codomain is also R, but then everything in the codomain is not mapped, the only thing mapped is 1. So, its range is the set containing 1, the singleton one, that is its range, and domain is the whole of R. Sometimes the domain will not be given, we will just say consider the function y equal to 1 or consider the function f x equal to 1. There we may have to find out the largest possible subset of R where it is defined, if it is possible. So, in this case it will be whole of R, because it is defined for the whole of R, and this is called a constant function whose value is 1. Instead of 1, suppose you write some other number, say some pi, then that will be the constant function f x equal to pi, but that is also called a constant function. This is also called a constant function. It is a generic one. By changing this constant, we will get different types of constant functions. We will take one more example, say y equal to x. So, that means it is f of x equal to x for every x in R. This is called the identity function. Its domain is R, codomain is R, and range is also R. Let us take y equal to x square. So, the function is defined by mapping x to x square. Now, if you take any real number, its square is defined. Therefore, its domain is R and codomain is of course R. Then what is the range? We see that x square can never be negative. So, at best it can be R plus or the positive and 0 including, and it is so because any point in 0 to infinity including 0, you will get one point there whose square is this. That is why its range is equal to the set of all non-negative real numbers which rise at closed 0 and open infinity. If you take y equal to square root of x as another function, now this is not defined for every real number, because square roots of negative numbers are not defined. Only square roots of positive and square root of 0 are defined. So, its domain is the set of all non-negative real numbers and square root of x. So, when you take square root, the usual convention is we will be taking the non-negative square root. That is the meaning of writing square root symbol. Like square root of 9 will never be considered as minus 3, it will be plus 3. That is the convention with this symbol. Therefore, its range is also the set of all non-negative real numbers. Consider the function y equal to 1 by x. So, this function is not defined for x equal to 0, because we do not have anything called 1 by 0. Our axioms of real numbers say that 1 by something is defined only for non-zero quantities. So, y equal to 1 by x has domain as R excluding 0, R minus 0, and its range is of course that, because 0 is never achieved by 1 by anything cannot be equal to 0. So, 0 is also gone. Therefore, its domain is R minus 0 and range is also 1 minus R minus 0. Let us consider other function y equal to square root of 2 minus x. Now, how to get its domain? You have to see where it is defined. We know that square root of non-negatives are only defined. So, 2 minus x must be a non-negative real number. So, that means x must be 2 minus x must be greater than or equal to 0. This says 2 is greater than or equal to x. So, if 2 is greater than or equal to x, how will it look like in the real line? X will be here, x will be less than or equal to 2. So, if 2 is here, then all these numbers are there in the domain for which our function is well defined. So, that means it is minus infinity to 2, that is the domain, and its range can be any number of course, but its square root. So, it has to be non-negative. So, the range is 0 to infinity, 0 possibly included. It is exactly equal to 0, because at x equal to 2 you will get also 0. That is the only point where it is 0. And there can be also positive numbers in the range, because you can take anything, say 1. Let us take minus infinity to 2 is the domain. So, 1 belongs to that. If you put 1 there, you get square root of 2 minus 1 as 1, that is also included. So, there can be also positives. then its domain is minus infinity to 2 closed to close to 0 to infinity. That is the range. Similarly, if you consider y equal to square root of 3 minus x square, then its domain will be those numbers for which 3 minus x square is greater than or equal to 0, or x square is less than or equal to 3. So, when you write x square is less than or equal to 3, this is same thing as telling mod x is less than or equal to square root of 3, and that we know from an x minus a mod less than lambda that the interval should be minus root 3 to root 3 closed interval. That is its domain, and range of course can be anything, but now they cannot exceed root 3, because this is from minus root 3 to root 3. So, at best x can be 3, at 0 it can be root 3 also. So, the range can be 0 to root 3. That is how it would look like. Now, once you go for the graph of the function, there is something we should observe, that if you take this second picture, which is a circular arc of course, this is joining minus 1 to 1 as a circular arc of radius 1. This is a function, because if you take any x here corresponding to it, there is one f of x on this. But if you go to the other side, the first picture, if you take any x here corresponding to it, there are 2 points now, and that is excluded from the definition of the function, that from a point it should take to a unique point. So, this is not unique now, there are 2 points corresponding to that x. Therefore, this is not a function, this is not the graph of a function. This can be graph of a function, this can be graph of a function. So, all that you need to know, if you draw a vertical line on the graph of f, then it never crosses the graph in more than one point. That is what happens here, that is why it is not giving a function. So, the circle does not depict a function in this sense, but the semicircle either on the above the x axis or below the x axis, they depict the function. If you take x here, you get a unique point here corresponding to that x. So, that is a mnemonic we can see, that find out which graphs really are possibly functions and which are not. Let us consider some more examples. So, now as we discussed in our last lecture, absolute value defines a function. The function is this y equal to mod x, where it is x if x is greater than or equal to 0, and is minus x if x is less than 0. So, in this case we have seen its graph also. So, again we say a few lines. So, when x belongs to the right of 0 or even at 0 mod x is 0. So, it is that point. If it is to the right of it, then y equal to f of x will be equal to x. So, it will be the line y equal to x, which is depicted here on the right side here. And if you take on the left side, that is x is negative, then mod x equal to minus x. So, y is minus x, that is this line. Therefore, we got the graph of the function mod x in blue lines, two blue. It is the union of those two blue lines. That is how the graph would look like. Let us consider another. Suppose we give y is a function which is defined this way conditionally in 3 cases. It is minus x if x is negative, and it is x square if x lies between 0 and 1, including 0 and 1 also, and it is 1 if x is bigger than 1. It is a constant function if x is bigger than 1. So, let us take that case, that is simpler to see. Y is constant. So, it is equal to 1 for all those x bigger than 1. If x is bigger than 1 anywhere here, it is 1, and if x is bigger than 1, that is also 1. So, it is really the constant function which we depict as y equal to 1, where on the y axis this distance is 1. So, for x greater than 1, this is the function, and when x is equal to 1, the second case is applicable, which gives you x square, or it is 1 square, which is also 1. So, at that point this is also 1. y of 1 equal to 1, and within 0 to 1 y equal to x square, which is a parabola. So, this is really the portion of the parabola from 0 to 1, and when it is negative it is minus x. So, y equal to minus it is that straight line. Therefore, you get the blue curve as the graph of the function. Let us take another, say y equal to f of x, which is given as x when x lies between 0 and 1, x lies between 0 and 1, and it is 2 minus x if 1 is less than x less than or equal to 2. So, at 1 the first one is applicable, it is really value is 1, at 0 it is 0, and it is y equal to x between 0 to 1. So, it is this line from 0 to 1, it is this line, and it is y equal to 2 minus x, again it is a line, straight line. So, which will be from this place to this place, x from 1 to 2. So, that is how the graph looks like. It is a hat function, it is x from 0 to 1, 2 minus x from 1 to 2. I will give some more examples slowly. So, let us take y equal to floor of x. So, this symbol is read as floor of x. So, y equal to floor of x, by definition it is taken as n, an integer, if n is less than or equal to x is less than n plus 1. So, let us see for example, x equal to 1.5. So, when x equal to 1.5, it is here. Now, so floor of x is equal to n if n is less than or equal to x less than n plus 1. This x 1.5 lies between 1 and 2. So, its value will be 1, y equal to 1 at that point. At x equal to 2, its value is also 1. Is it so? If x equal to 2, this is not applicable, but n becomes 2 now. No, its value goes to the other side, because y becomes equal to 2. At 2 it is 2. So, look at this solid dot means that is included. If it is blank dot, there is a gap here, it is a not a solid one, it is a hollow circle. So, that means that point is not included. So, when you say x is lying between 1 to 2, but not equal to 1 or equal to 2, its value is 1, and x equal to 1, its value is 1. At x equal to 2, it jumps to the next interval in the definition, 2 less than or equal to x less than 3, that will be applicable. So, you can see f of 1 equal to 1, f of 2 equal to 2, f of 3 equal to 3. On the integers it is like identity function. On the other ones, when it is between 2, so it is a constant function 1 to 2, again 2 to 3 is a constant function. So, its graph looks like this. This is the floor function. So, sometimes we write it as the integral value also, but there is also confusion in notation. We will write floor now. There is a similar related function which is called the ceiling. So, what does it do? It takes to the next value, that is y equal to ceiling of x, which is n plus 1 in the same interval, but look at the equality sign. Here n is equal to x in the floor, but here in the ceiling x is equal to n plus 1. Equality sign is moved to the next interval. So, that means y is the ceiling of x, means it is equal to n plus 1 on the interval to n plus 1. So, for example, if it is 1, x is 1, then this one is applicable. So, n must be equal to 0. So, that means from 0 to 1 here its value will be 1. So, 0 to 1 its value is 1, and at 1 its value is 1, but not at 0. At 0 its value will become 0, because the last one will be applicable. So, its graph will look like this. It is coming to the right, the sawtooth, but here the sawtooth is on the left side. That is how the ceiling function looks like. So, what is the difference between them? If you see the ceiling, it will look something like ceiling function equal to floor function plus 1 if x is not an integer. If x is an integer, then ceiling and floor will be the same. At 1 it is 1, at 2 it is 2, at 3 it is 3, and so on. The same thing for the floor, at 1 it is 1, at 2 is 2, and so on. So, that is the difference between those two. One is floor, the other one is ceiling.